right here at home. How long have I been in jail? 34 years? 34 years, so...
Out of 47, you've been here 34.
I've been in jail, prison, a long time, all my life. I was raised up in here. So I understand jail, so I understand myself and I can deal with that. I sit in my cell and I do my number like a convict does his number.
You like jail, don't you?
I don't dislike or like.
Let's go back to 1967, the time you were winding up serving a term of number of years, 10 years. And written accounts indicate that you told the authorities, don't let me out. I can't cope with the outside world. Do you have a recollection of that?
You make a desperate plea out of something, man. There's no desperate plea out of it. I say I can't handle the maniacs outside. Let me back in.
I didn't use the word desperate. That's your word.
Yes. Well, your inflection and your voice tones were implications there.
Well, you use the word maniacs on the outside. How are you different from the maniacs on the outside? Why do you call them maniacs? Because you know something, they think you are one.
Yeah, it would reflect. If you hold the negative up to the light, you don't see the light, you just see the negative. So I'm a reflection of your negative, there's no doubt about that, and I can handle that also. I've been handled, ain't I?
I don't know, have you?
Well, I've been up and down these damn hallways, in and out of these nut boards for the last 10 years. You think you could follow that act?
Don't want to follow that act. I don't want to get into it. But why do you want to get into that?
Well, what crowd, what crowd you playing for? I'm playing for my life. You working for money.
for your life?
I'm working for my life, mister. I'm not playing for money. I'm playing for keeps.
What do you mean you're working for your life?
I'm playing for real.
What does that mean, you're playing for real? How are you
That's
playing
something
for
you
your
can't
life?
buy.
When you say you're playing for your life, am I to assume that you think that someday you're going to get out of here?
Get out of here. Get out of here. Where would I go? Let's see.
What would you do if you got out of here?
I got out of here.
What if they said they sent you tomorrow morning, Charles? Hey, listen, you're free. You go wherever you want to go. Do whatever you want to do. What would you do?
I'll probably go out in front on the grass and sit down.
For how long?
For right now. How long? I could put a track record on it, or I could put a computer on it.
Come on down. No, come on down. Get off computers, get off tracks. If you got out of here, there are a lot of people who think you'd go start killing people again.
Again? Well, you guys are misinformed. I haven't killed anyone.
What about Shay?
What about him?
Well, what about him?
He got killed.
Well, the word is you killed him. Word is you stabbed him. What does it feel like to kill someone?
Word is that you're an old woman. Word is you have turkey in the sky. Word is I don't know what word is. Somebody else tell you that. I didn't tell you that.
Did you kill Shay?
Hell no.
Did you cut Hinman's ear off?
Hell yes.
How'd that feel when you cut his ear off?
I felt bad.
It's fun. Isn't the truth fun now when you
sure.
you cut his ear off? What did it feel like?
My goodness.
What did it feel like when you cut his ear off? Tell me.
What did it feel like?
Yeah.
Well, I had done what he said for about 20 years. I'd done everything he told me to do. And I got to thinking, now, why don't this guy do something I tell him to do? And he said, no. I said, well, how comes I'm always doing what you tell me to do? But then you never do what I say do. And he said, well, blah, blah, blah. So I said, now you do what I say. He said, no. I said, you do exactly what I say. He said, no. I'm telling you. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. You do exactly what I say. He said, wow, where'd you get that? I said, got it from my father in prison. He gave it to me. I had a little charm bracelet I used to carry it on when I was about that big.
Skip that for a second. Why was it so important for him to do what you say? Why do you like having people do what you want them to do? Why do you want to control them?
Wait a minute. No, I was asked. The dude asked me, says, you my brother? I said, yeah, I'm your brother. He said, how much are you my brother? I said, completely. See, if I'm going to explain it to you, it's not going to be that easy. So you're going to have to bear with me. So, Bobby said, he was a young dude, he said, I'm your brother. I said, okay.
Bobby?
I'm your brother. Beausoleil. I just got out of prison. Yeah.
Let me interrupt you.
Yeah, well, then we're gone with that thought.
No, because you're getting on
Then
the
we'll go to another one, and then they'll make me look crazy.
No. You can make yourself look crazy, Charles. I can't make you look crazy. Please, believe me.
All right. I believe you, and I'll put it in my left-hand pocket for later.
Let me take you back to you wanting this man, Hinman.
I cut the dude's ear off because he was over Bobby. And Bobby was a youngster and really didn't know what the hell he was doing. And he was a kid, and he never had no man show him nothing, see? So I was telling the boy, I said, the guy, he says, you got my money. I said, go and get the money or leave him alone.
You're taking me to another story.
No, I'm trying to tell you the same thing, and we'll be here for 1,000 years unless you let me finish.
No. We won't be here for that long at all if you'll just speak to this one point.
I met the point. Why cut the dude's ear off, man? That's the point.
I didn't ask you that. I said, why was it important to you to make Hinman do what you wanted him to do?
Because he had a gun.
And if one follows your story through the times on the ranch down in Southern California, it was important for Charles Manson to be a leader, to have people follow him.
Come on, district attorney. See, you're full of brainwash. That's the district attorney. I'm nobody's leader, and I'm nobody's follower. I got a parole officer, I got a sleeping bag and a guitar, and I'm staying at old blind man's ranch. And that's about the extent of it. All this occult, all that hocus pocus stuff that you guys are playing, I don't know nothing about all that.
You know nothing about something called Helter Skelter. You know nothing about it.
Yeah, I know about Helter Skelter. It was a song that some people sang.
And that's all it was.
And some other kids picked it up in their minds. And they said, what do you think Helter Skelter is? I said, well, I get out of the penitentiary in the 50s, and everybody's going thump, 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 and they're walking like that. I get locked back up, I get out in the penitentiary in the 65s, it's going thump, 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 and I get locked up again, and I come out in the 69, it's going thump, 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 singing, wow, man, wow.
Wow,
all right.
Wow, what? Come on,
well, I was a beatnik in the 50s before the hippies came along. You know, I cut a rut down through Acapulco, in the tombs, and I was in the Cook County Jail in Chicago when you were playing cricket in high school. See, like you live in another world. I live in street people's world.
Manson had a plot, helter-skelter.
Yeah.
Manson had a little scheme called creepy crawlers. He'd send people in to move furniture around. Is that all a figment of somebody's imagination so far, or is there any truth to that? Tell me, Charles. I don't know.
It's a fairy. It's worse than a fairy tale.
It's a fairy tale.
It's a comedy. It's a comedy tragedy opera that was played in the early morning.
Come on, Charles.
Sick people.
Off the space shuttle.
You know. Well, that's what the DA gave you for reality. He stood in the courtroom and said, this man did this and this man did that. You all believed him. He said, this man did that. And I said, Your Honor, may I speak? And he said, no, you can't speak. I said, Your Honor, I got a voice. Let me talk. He said, no, sit down. Shut up. And he handcuffed me, take me back with him. What are you going to do? I come out and sit down. I ain't going to get with you.
Didn't you stand up in that courtroom?
Sure, I stood
and
up.
by the way, let me just
I
go back
felt
to
the repercussions in the back of it.
Oh, okay, but you say the whole thing's a fairy tale. You say the whole thing is make-believe.
Yeah, that's his helter-skelter. Wasn't mine.
The body of Sharon Tate is make-believe.
That's make-believe to the people that went in there and did what they did.
And who were those people? You know,
yeah.
But you know who they were.
Sure I know who
They were with you at the Spahn Ranch. They were part of this thing called, if not the Manson family or the Manson cult, the Manson Ranch. Call it what
So
you will.
then, what?
And Tex Watson testified in a court of law that you told him to go to the house that Terry Melcher used to live in and kill those people in a most gruesome way. A man that was once your associate said that of you, and now you sit here and say that's not true, that's all make-believe?
You got a stone wall there. We should take it down a little bit. Look here. I'll explain something to you. Tex took the witness stand, and this is record, and he said, I don't know whether I'm Charlie Manson or my mother. Tex didn't have his own mind one way or the other. He was balanced back and forwards, because I had already took his mind in another game down the road that I was playing with some Hell's Angels that you don't know nothing about, and you probably never will know nothing about it, because you would have to know those people to get in their thoughts. But there's different colors on different people's backs doing different things. It's a different world. I love the world I live in too, just like Regan loves the world he lives in.
You love the world you live in.
Most assuredly, it's me.
You love all the pain that you've caused people, all the pain.
I don't know pain. I don't know pain. I have no depth of pain. I have no depth of suffering. I don't know ridicule. I don't know all the bad things. I haven't been punished by you all my life since I was 10 years old. I've been in every reform school you got across the country, and used to lay down and have to get my ass whipped till I couldn't walk. Tell me about your pain.
And that's our fault. That's all.
No fault. Make strong, good pain. Understand pain. Not bad. Pain's not bad. It's good. It teaches you things. It teaches you things. Like when you put your hand in fire, you know not to do that again. Yeah, I understand that.
But how come you didn't?
That's the reason I never stick my hand in fire.
But excuse me, you've been putting your hand in the fire since you were a little boy.
I have.
You just told me a couple of minutes ago that of the 47 years you spent 34 behind bars. Now, if that isn't putting your hand in the fire, I don't know what is.
What year was that?
The year's not important. What's important is you just say that you learn by pain not to experience again. Don't put your hand back in the fire. Why you've been in and out of prisons for the last for 34 of your 47 years? All that normal behavior, Charles, is that something that you're proud of?
No. Well, I never thought I was normal. Never tried to be normal. Normal runs in a little rut down there. I don't know about being normal. I've been in jail all my life, man. I've lived on the handball court. This guy raised me up. All the men in the joint raised me up, told me what to do, what was right and wrong, told me when to sit down, stand up. I just did everything I was told. You know, and I got to the end of it, and I just turned around and said, wow, fine.
Now that's hard.
You know, and then I went outside, and all these little kids got a hold of me and said, we ain't going to stop the Vietnam War, and we want to do this. What? War? I don't know what's happening. I've been in jail all my life, man. I never went to vocational. You ever see me in vocational training, rehabilitation? Never play no rehabilitation. I sweep the floor in the kitchen, go out and play handball. I'm still 10 years old in your world. I'm still a kid. I'm not going to grow up. I'm not going to go to college.
How old are you in your world?
Forever. Since breakfast. I can't remember.
I don't know what that means. Come on, off the space shuttle, Charles.
Yeah, it's off the space shuttle. How old are you? How old am I? I'm as old as my mother told me. How's that?
Your mother. Tell me about your mother. What'd your mother tell you?
My mother told me when she worked on death row and they took that dude into hanging and his head popped off and went down them 13 stairs and rolled over by her. It scared her. You know, so I said, wow, that sure is a far-out trip, Moms. So then when I got up on death row in cell 13 for 9 counts of murder, 1969, and I looked at her fears, that guy's head popping off that hangman's noose, and I said to myself, my goodness, what the hell am I doing here? I didn't want to come here. I didn't break the law. The judge knew that. But the people didn't want to hear it. The judge knew it. He washed his hands. He said, I know it, but what can I do? People want this.
Judge never said that. Judge never
That's
said
what Older said.
that. Judge never said that.
He got off and shook the hands, didn't he?
Judge did not say that he washed his hands.
It's a flying taggart, man, from Madam Chankashek. I just wrote
Judge didn't say that you were innocent, Charles.
Innocent?
Let's go back to your mother.
Innocent?
What else?
Wait a minute. Let's get back to that word, innocent. You're so white and pure?
Judge didn't say you were innocent.
Are you innocent?
Innocent of what?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
None of us are innocent.
Yeah, just because you're convicted in a courtroom doesn't mean you're guilty of something.
What does mean you're guilty?
When you know you're guilty.
And how do you feel about yourself? Tell me about you.
I feel pretty good. The head popped off, yeah. She was living in the Blue Moon Cafe, and she hit a dude in the head with one of them bottles of Jim Beam whiskey. She tried to hustle a few dollars on the corner, but there wasn't no money. So when she jammed this whiskey bottle upside that clown's head, he went down. She took the bread, come up, got me, and we left, went to Indiana.
When you were a boy, did you love your mother?
I didn't know what that was.
Did you respect your mother? How did you feel about you? How do you feel about your mom right now? If your mother, I don't know if she's alive, Charles, or not.
Yeah, you don't.
Do you?
Let's see. Alive now. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, if she could be watching this right now, what would you say to her, Charles?
Well,
what would you say to Mom?
I'd say you sure went through a whole lot of changes to get me as far as you did. And you did a damn good job with the help of my grandma. My grandma was a mountain girl from Kentucky, up in the mountains. And she never did drink or smoke or cuss or lie. She used to cook for the Salvation Army, and she was a human being. Good one. I go to church down there and sweep the floor for her.
Well, how were you in school? I hear that you weren't too good, but maybe I heard.
Depends on which school. I did very well in reform school.
Yeah.
I did good in every place that I was ever told to do good in, as much as I was allowed to do. You know, a lot of times good for some might not be the same for others, and sometimes it kind of bumps heads. But when it does, then I just chew on my pipe and think about it, and do the best I can.
But
You dealt the hand down there in L.A. You in that press, you in that L.A. Times, you dealt the hand. You put me on Life magazine, had me convicted before I walked in the courtroom. You had what people wanted to buy. When they wanted to buy it, they didn't give a damn if they had to convict the district attorney. They had to convict the whole building to get that dollar bill. They had big bucks going there. They made 27 million, 100 billion. I'm bumming $10, $15 from my friend here.
that on the night following the killings at the house on Cielo Drive in Los Angeles, you accompanied 4 people to a home occupied by Mr. and Mrs. Leo LaBianca.
Yeah.
That you went inside that house and you tied them up and assured them that they were not going to be hurt. That you went back outside and sent Kasabian and Krenwinkel and Watson and Atkins inside the house to kill them. True or false? Because you know something, Charles? That's what you were convicted of, among other things.
All right.
Is it true or false?
Do you deserve...
No. It's a yes or a no.
Oh, no.
But it's so simple.
No,
try it.
No. Nothing's yes or no. No. You put the boxes and things. No. Look here. First you have to see where I'm coming from.
Not on that question. There's no coming from anywhere on that question, Charles. Did you do that? Chair's getting hot, huh? Get mad, get angry, come over here and hit me if you like. But why don't you answer the question?
Hit you?
If you like.
No.
But answer the question.
I don't hit you. I got out of prison. I went up in the streams and I seen a big fat dead rat laying in the water.
Same question again.
Same question again.
Mm-hmm.
Did I break the law? Is that your question?
The question was, on the night following the murders, or the killings, or whatever else you want to call it, in the Melcher home on Cielo Drive in Los Angeles, newspaper accounts claim that you, Krenwinkel, Atkins, Kasabian, and Watson went to the home of Mr. and Mrs. LaBianca in Los Angeles. You went inside their house, tied them up, assured them they would not be hurt, and then went outside and sent the other 4 in newspaper accounts, and this is one of the things for which you were convicted in the courtroom in Los Angeles. Now here's your chance for the whole world to tell it straight once and for all. Did you do that?
Did I kill anyone?
No. Did you go in and tie up the LaBiancas that night? Very simple question.
That night.
August 10th, 1969.
That night. August the 10th.
Did you?
69.
Why duck it? Why dodge it? Why not answer yes or no once and for all? Would it be mentioned?
Did I kill anyone?
Did you tie up the LaBiancas? Atkins testified you did.
That's what Susie said.
That's what she said. And you remember, you were in the courtroom when she said it.
She's written 3 books, and each time she said something different. Each time.
Did you tie him up?
Did I? Well, we came down from Abilene. And
Let's stay in Los Angeles, August 10, 1969.
there was a hole in the wall gang there.
Why don't you want to tell me, Charles? Why don't you want to?
Because I'm an outlaw, and I go so far, and then that's all you know.
And if you did,
It's like asking Jesse James.
and if, as others have written and as others have testified and as the media has reported, you did that, and you sent your friends back in to do the deed, aren't you a coward?
My friends back in to do the terrible deed.
Doesn't that make
Wicked deed. Did we have the castle there with the vampires and the Frankenstein and the bugs and lizards dying in the deserts? Do we have the water that's dying and the whales are being killed and seals are...
Here we go again. Lay it off on somebody else. Let's
Yeah.
point to all the other injustices.
I'm in the world all by myself.
Yeah, on this one you are. Yeah.
It was okay, if that's the way you see it for you.
Well, whether you like it or not, Charles, all those things that happened that August in Los Angeles are identified as the Manson killings.
Yeah, that's what you're...
So you can sit here and talk to me about the whales in Hiroshima, and you can sit and talk about the environment in the Great Lakes, and that's all fine. But what it really comes down to in this particular instance is that this one is your ballgame.
Yeah, well, if I can get some help from the doctor, then I can get my mind straightened out a little bit, and maybe I can come back and play like a human.
You
got a pistol on you?
No, sir. They wouldn't let me in here if I had a pistol. You know that as well as I do, so why even ask the question? Okay?
Well, I just thought you might not like what I've done and want to do something about it.
I don't much care for what you've done.
Yeah?
A lot of people don't. How do you feel about that? A lot of people think you're a monster, Charles.
Yeah, they think you're a monster because you reflect this news media on me. Cult leader. I never had long hair before I got busted. I never had a beard before I got busted. I went to shave and the guy said, no, you can't shave. I said, I need a razor shave. No, you can't shave. So let me get a haircut. He said, no, we don't want you to change your appearance. So when you put the camera first on, you got... And get a haircut, you change your appearance. So when you put the camera first on, you got long hair and a beard. First time in my life I ever had long hair and a beard.
You want to shave and get a haircut? I'll shut him off a little bit of shave and a haircut.
Am I telling him right? I'm not of this generation.
You want to shave and a haircut right now? I'll shut him down right now.
Yeah.
Shave and a haircut.
Yeah. I was trying to explain to you, man, that a lot they pushed off on me is not me. They said I had a great family and I was the followers and leaders and all that. It was the followers and leaders, a bunch of kids out at the ranch playing. To me,
Playing what?
playing, living.
The accounts say that you gave him dope. I'm just saying what the accounts say. I'm not saying I know it to be so. So here's your chance to say it wasn't true. Okay. That there was a lot of hanky-panky. Did you turn the girls on with dope and sex out there?
That's what they said.
All right, that's what they said. Well, are they wrong?
Oh, well, I went down to Haight-Ashbury and a little kid 10 years old come up and said, you want an acid pill? I said, what's that? He said, this is good. You make colors go. I said, no, I heard about these things. I don't want none of that. And then another little kid was rolling a joint. And they were sitting there smoking a joint and asked me if I wanted one.
What'd you say?
I said, well, I used to smoke this stuff in the 60s, but never in the 50s. But it really wasn't that, it was funny, but it's not.
How much dope did you use in your lifetime? Were you a heavy user of dope?
No, I smoked a little grass, and I've taken some acid, mescaline, psilocybin, peyote, mushrooms. But actually take dope, no, nothing. I wouldn't take anything that I feel would hurt me.
Do you feel that those things that you just mentioned hurt you at all, Charles?
Physically or spiritually?
Mentally.
And then on what level? On the level of society, the way you feel the norm?
No. Stop the hogwash. Do you feel that the drugs that you did use in your earlier lifetime confused you, altered your mind, juggled it, scrambled it, made you see things differently? Stay on that level.
Maybe I find a spirit of caveman think through brain.
Let me try it again. Do you think the drugs you used hurt you?
Drugs hurt me. No, I don't think the drugs have hurt me. If I overdone it, I think it would.
You don't want to be anybody's leader?
No.
Never did want to be anybody's leader?
Don't like attention.
Then why do you...
Most insecure people need attention.
Well, I was just going to say, then, if you don't want attention, why all your life you kept waving your arms saying, hey, look at me?
That's what I've been doing all my life.
Well, I would have to say that a young man,
I got that document.
who by the time he's 20 years old, has been in and out of jails and reform schools for a variety of offenses that include wife beating,
Wife beating, that's never whipped by old lady.
Didn't you?
No, I punched my mother out once.
Oh, you did? All right, well, we'll call it mother beating. Forging
She was
checks.
wrong. She lied to me and beat me for my money, and she didn't do right.
Forging checks, car theft. I mean, these are ways of waving your arms and saying, look at me, give me some attention.
Yeah.
And you say you don't want any attention. Now, Charles, that's a contradiction.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, over a period of about 20 years, I imagine you'd want to change something. I'm not very wise to many things, but I am
What's that?
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay. You punched your mother. Did you hate your mother?
No, I love her.
What about your wife? You were married once, weren't you?
Yeah.
How'd that go? Why'd you want to get married? That's kind of conventional. That's kind of normal. That's kind of in the run.
I got married.
Get married.
Getting it. That's why I got married.
Married for sex was the reason you got married.
Yeah, that's what I didn't know what was happening. I knew there was something happening, but no one would tell me, so I had to find out. You know, I didn't have books like you guys, Playboys and stuff in them days. I had to find out for myself.
Why do you think us guys are all playboys? Ain't we?
Oh man, I didn't say Playboy. I was talking about Playboy magazine type of thought.
Okay. You had a son by that marriage, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a kid somewhere.
You think about it?
Not about as much as my father did me.
So two wrongs make a right, Charles.
No, I didn't say there's anything wrong with my dad's been taking care of me. He lets me live. I'm alive.
I remember you saying, or being quoted in the courtroom in Los Angeles, as saying, the children who came at you with knives are your children.
Yeah, I didn't read it.
You are the ones who kicked them out. You are responsible for what they've done.
That's right. Just as much as I am.
So you, in my mind, were criticizing society for kicking their children out. And
Sure.
yet I've just seen you sit here and say, yeah, I got a kid somewhere.
Yeah.
How can you criticize other people for kicking their kids out and you did the same thing?
Difference, many levels, difference. See, my old lady left me and run off with a truck driver. She said, let's steal a car and go to California. And I said, man, I ain't going to steal a car and go to California and go back to jail. She says, we won't get caught. But we didn't get caught. Just I got caught. She didn't get caught. So then she had a kid, and then some truck driver came along, and I was a green kid, and I didn't know what I was doing. You know, so she said, you know, I got a ride from you. I'll see you later. She took off and got married to somebody else. You know, she's a good girl.
And besides the son that you had in your marriage, you've got, what, 4 other children somewhere?
I don't think I've been responsible for as much as you people want to lay on me.
Well, how many children do you have, Charles?
How many children do I have? I don't know. I have lots of children. In fact, sometimes I even think you're a child.
But you just said you don't have any children, you don't have any family in the context of the ranch. I'm talking about children that are your natural children.
Children that are my natural ego?
No, children.
Oh, children? I would divide one child from the others.
All right, somewhere out there, somewhere, there's at least one son that we know of that's your child, who's probably about 25 or 26 years old right now.
Right?
Yeah. Look in that camera. What do you say to that kid? What do you say to your son who's watching his old man on television? Maybe the first time he's ever seen his old man, his face all carved up and his eyes glowing. You talk to that kid. What are you going to say to him?
You gotta catch it on your own, boy. Train's hard. Road's rough.
That's it.
That's all I knew. That's all anyone ever told me.
All right.
And you want to hear something?
Yeah?
He'll do it better than me.
Do what?
Whatever he does, he'll do it a little better. Kids do, don't they?
Sometimes.
Yeah. That's what makes them such a gas. They always seem to get through.
There was a story about a celebrity hit.
Did you ever a kid once?
Absolutely. Still am in many ways, but not your way.
Oh, my way? I don't know what my way is. Everybody keeps telling me I got all these things. I read the other day where I had magical powers, and I told everybody in the chapel, I said, zap, 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 zap. I said, where's my magical powers? Well, you can't read what you read in the press. I can get no magical powers, mystical trips, and all that kind of crap. Yeah, it's kind of silly. Yeah, we got witches and devils. One guy come up and said, I heard you said you were Jesus. I said, no, man, I ain't said that. He said, I'm glad. He said, I'm damn glad. I said, why? He said, I know you ain't him. I said, how do you know? He said, because I am. I said, okay. But I mean, you know, I've been in the nut ward for 10 years, so you can't expect me to rationally take this thing serious.
Don't you think you belong in the nut ward?
Well, it's all right.
Don't you belong there?
I belong where I'm allowed to go, man. Like, you know,
trial was going on, that Charles Manson had a celebrity hit list. I don't know who was on it. Maybe there never was such a list, but was there a list of people, famous people, that you thought about harassing, bothering?
If I wanted to harass them, I just wouldn't watch their TV show.
Isolation. You are not on what is called the main line. You're not with the prison population. How do you feel about it?
How do I feel about it? I don't feel about it.
Would you rather not be in isolation?
Well, I've been trying to get on the main line. I've been trying to get to the prison for the last 13 years.
Why?
Why? Walk around, play some handball, play a little guitar, do my number, do my time like any convict does. Like I've always done, like my mind has been set to do, like my past lives have been in jail, doing time in jail. In fact, when I got out, I just got outside and sat down. I wasn't going nowhere, I gave up.
If you were on the main line, wouldn't you be exposed to some dangers?
Come on, man, if you're thinking exposure to danger, then that danger you're thinking is coming around you.
Well, look what happened to James Earl Ray. You heard about that, didn't you?
James Earl Ray's got his problems, I got mine.
But you heard what happened to him. Have you heard? He got stuck.
Yeah,
22
people
times.
died in India, too.
He got stuck.
Some other people died in Hawaii.
You wouldn't be scared,
all over.
You wouldn't be frightened or afraid then of the prison population trying to make a hit on you.
Man, I've been staying alive in prison this long without no help.
What is S ward?
It's a nut ward.
What goes on there?
Whatever goes on in there. You'd have to ask the people responsible for that.
Well, do they do things to you in there?
Do they do things to me? That depends.
They give you medication here?
Yeah, they give you medication here.
You on medication now?
No, it took me about a few years to get off of medication. The medication has toned me down quite a bit. Whole lot. That's the reason I like the desert. When I get out in the desert, then I can let it out and say, if I see you within 50 miles, they will know something. Yeah, I used to love that desert. Out in the woods and things. I didn't know you could get out in the woods for 30 years.
How do you feel about spending the rest of your life in prison?
Well, we're all our own prisons. We each are our own wardens, and we do our own times. We get stuck in our own little trips, and we kind of judge ourselves the way we do it. You know, I can't judge nobody else. The best thing I can do is try to judge myself and live with that. See, what other people do is not really my affair, unless they approach me with it and want me to do something about it. Then I'll take into consideration what has to be done. But other than that, I just try to do my number and do my time. Get out on the main line, play some tennis, walk around, make the child live better, you know. And then there's a possibility the preacher could teach me something, because the preacher, the reverend, is quite a guy. And I'm finding that they've got 2 or 3 doctors here that's got a lot of sense. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they got a lot of sense in my world, you know. And I've tried to shake 2 or 3 of them, but they're pretty smart. And then they got some pretty good inmates here trying to get out and work their lives into a decent sort of way. Trying to promote harmony, pull ourselves together, be right, do right, and have the understanding of what it is in a congenial form for world peace. There's a lot of people working for world peace.
Let's assume that one day you were paroled. Let's just make believe. Do you ever think you will be?
Yeah. Well, I've never been paroled before. I went up to the board and they said I was incorrigible. And not only was I incorrigible, but that I'd never grow up. And I kind of agreed with him. I had a war.
Well, let's just play make-believe here for a second. Let's make-believe. Let's make-believe you're getting out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay?
And tomorrow creeps this petty face.
Would you go after anybody, Charles?
After anybody?
Do you feel? Let me try it over. Do you feel you have any scores to settle with anybody on the outside?
Do I have any scores out there? And we're making believe, right? Well, I'll tell you, buddy. Well, I don't rightly know. I'm stupid to the point where I'm not really sure. And if you'll ask the question again, maybe the answer will come to me. What was it again?
If you got out tomorrow, do you have any scores to settle on the outside?
Scores? You mean people that have done me wrong?
Feel they've done you wrong.
Oh, that feel that I've done them wrong?
No, feel that they've done you wrong.
Oh.
That you feel have done you wrong.
Oh, well, most people do themselves wrong.
But would you want to go get anybody if you got out? No.
No, they push, see what they do. See, they take all that bad and they push it off on each other. I told them, dude, you're doing this to yourself, man. You know, I've been sitting in there. In other words, I'm in the cell, right? And he let me out, and I walk around. The guy says, if you don't do this, we're going to lock you back up. I said, okay, I don't care anyway. I done gave up that thought. Prison's in your mind, man. Like, you know, you can sit in the cell, and the guy said, you're in prison? I said, no, I'm just here. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm just sitting here waiting for these people to get done doing what they're doing so I can get out.
Do you have a television set? Do you watch television?
Yeah, I used to watch it a little bit, but it kind of looks, I don't really like it that much.
Okay, well, what about newspapers? Do you get newspapers?
No, I don't bother with those. I know that they're jiving there.
All right, what, radio? Listen to the radio?
I listen to a Heart Space program. I like that. And the rest of it, just like a bunch of devil. There's no.
What about your music?
I get some classical music on the 98 station that's saying something.
Okay. But what about your own music? I remember reading that you at one time had a recording stint in a studio in Hollywood and that you liked guitar and wrote music or sang music. Do you still do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that. But the way I do it ain't the same way you guys do it. And the way I do it scares you guys. So I didn't want to scare you guys out of the neighborhood right away. So I just took a can and started banging on it, you know. But we used to have some cosmic gatherings back in the mountains that could probably shake a Morgan Tabernacle choir's eardrums.
You said the kind of music you play scares people. Why shouldn't people be scared by you?
There's only one person you're scared of, and that's yourself. Afraid of what? Losing your bank account? Afraid of your wife going away? You have all those things. I'm not afraid of losing my watch or someone taking my money or robbing me. I went down to Mexico in the 50s and down where the Yankees was, and they said, man, you don't go down where the Yankees are. I said, he said, they're terrible. I said, why? He said, well, they don't like people like you. I said, well, they didn't say anything.
Yeah, but I asked the question in the context that, will you believe it or not, there are a lot of people on the outside that think about the possibility of you coming out of here, and they're genuinely scared.
Well, I might just make dust. Everything terrible. One little guy, terrible. Boy, how insecure are we as human beings? Put all our fear on one little guy. Afraid to let him out. He might break all the toys.
Why do you say little guy?
Because I'm not the guy you trying to make out of me. That's not me. That's some guy in somebody's imagination that wanted to make a couple $100 million for himself. Got rich. He had a good game going. He had a better game going than I did, but he had a good mother to help him. She helped him in a nice game. I was kind of over on the sidelines. See, I had to get around that game and look over the tracks.
Here we go on mother again for a second. You said he had a nice mother to help him. Does that mean you did not have a nice mother to help you?
Oh, well, I imagine I got a whole lot of nice mothers that would help me. If I would
life is there for Charles in this prison?
Well, I didn't know then. I try to hide it, not to embarrass other people. But I've been doing it ever since I was 10. I get to thinking, here I'm an old man sitting in the cell. That's the damnest thing I ever seen, you know. It looks like I grow up, but I really don't know how yet. I'm learning. She's teaching me how to grow up.
Do you miss women?
Certainly. My goodness, yeah, damn right. Yeah.
What do you think of women?
Oh, I like them. Yeah, they're nice. They're put together well and everything, and they're soft and spongy. Yeah, they're nice. As long as they keep their mouth shut and do what they're supposed to do.
Why do you say that?
Because that's what a woman's supposed to do.
Keep her mouth shut and do what she's supposed to do?
Sure.
Who taught you that?
Well, I don't want her snitching on me.
How do you feel about dying?
Dying is...
You know, you were sentenced to the gas chamber and then they modified the death penalty. Were you happy when that was done?
Was I happy when what was done?
When you found out that you weren't going to the gas chamber?
You're talking about dying. Now, it gets me nervous.
Why?
Did you have any thoughts about something? Did you want to go anywhere?
Were you happy when you found out you weren't going to go to the gas chamber, Charles?
I knew I wasn't going to go to the gas chamber because I hadn't done anything wrong.
You scared to die?
Sometimes I feel I'm scared to live. Living is what scares me. Dying is easy. Getting up every day and going through this again and again is hard. See, I'm carrying a heavy thought. See, the thought I'm carrying is very heavy. Like I'm on a football team and everybody's... I'm a little guy. I don't have no home team. You got all the home. I got one cheerleader or one coach. See, you got me at a disadvantage because I'm on your ground. See. So, this is your street, I reckon. You got the cameras and the money and the things. But you can believe me that Bulliosis had you all on the rib. And all the guys that sold you most of that stuff sold you a bunch of things that weren't real. Not to me. We used to have games when we played on the movie set. We would take on different people. I'd be Riff Raff Rax. And Steve would be John Jones, just coming in from Minneapolis and driving a truck. And we'd just take other people and play like other people. And then we lost track of who we were. And it went off and do other dimensions and levels of thought and understanding and comprehension that were beyond most people's minds, functions, computer data. So, all I did was watch and learn everything I could from everybody I ever met. Then when I got out of prison, I just walked around. I didn't tell nobody to do nothing. I said, do what you want to do. Do. Don't tell me what to do. I don't like people to tell me what to do. They just come from a place where they told me what prison. And I learned everything that you do in prison. And I talked to all the guys and asked them everything they knew. And they told me all the things they knew. And then I went to the end of it, and then the old man would be ready to die. And he'd say, well, son, sincerity is the best gimmick. Remember that. And I said, all right, be sincere. That'll win it. He said, that's it. Sincerity and honesty, he said, it'll do it. It'll trick them every time. I said, well, sincere and honesty, I never tried that. I tried everything else, but maybe I'll try sincere and honesty. So then I looked in the book and it said, waste of sin is death. Now I figured, well, I don't want to die, so maybe I have been sinful here. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I'll take a look at my life and say, well, I'm going to change it and start all over. You know, and I know I go to God and I say, hey, man, you're going to forgive me? And he's going to say, what do? You forgive you? I mean, what'd you come to me for? Forgive yourself, man. Don't be bothering me. You know, and I think, well, he must be a big, mighty God, man. He just, you know, he ain't got time. You got to make an appointment or something, you know. So I see the whole aspect of the whole trip for children to play, you know. Then I get stuck in the game of playing the goat here, or the lamb, or some other trip. I was a teddy bear, and then I was a goofball, and whatever. And what is the real one? Where's the real one? I don't know where the real one is. It's in the nutboard somewhere.
Now you've seen the real Charles Manson, hardly the glowering, sinister, and assertive mastermind that was pictured in his life before and after the Tate LaViolette killings in Los Angeles. The real Charles Manson appears to be confused and frightened. Confused, if you recall his admonition, we look at ourselves to better understand him. Yet each time I pressed him on details about the murders, Manson could not even look at himself, nor his relationships with his mother, his wife, and his son. And he's frightened. During our conversation, you recall Manson said, I'm living, aren't I? They let me live, didn't they? Followed by that little nervous laugh. The man does not want to die. I think he's frightened by death, and I think that he is as scared of us as we are of him. I get the feeling he'll be quite content to spend the rest of his life playing mind games